Good evening, everyone. Well, that was a little bit scary. We couldn't get the blooming thing to go live. How many times do we do this? Right. Evening, everyone. Evening, Cal. You all right?
Yeah, you. Sorry to hear
Yeah.
a crying child in the background. Just in the last minute, all sorts has booted off here. So yeah, it's been an interesting sort of 8 o'clock 5 minutes, hasn't it, Chris?
Same. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's that return to school. And the thing is, whether it's gone well or whether it hasn't, I think it builds up over the first couple of weeks. So the tiredness sets in. Then yeah, the rest is history. So we'll just find us rocking in a corner. It'll be fine. Evening, everyone. It's great to be back doing a live stream in an evening. Honestly, it is. Despite all of our parenting woes here. Um, for those who've never watched us before, I'm Krista. I'm the founder of Sunshine Support, and I'm joined this evening by my wonderful colleague, my sidekick, my wonderful Kelly Jarvis, who heads up our consultancy service here at Sunshine. Cal, apart from parenting woes, how are you?
Yeah, great. Actually, I am so excited about this week. It is a mega week, like in terms of content, in terms of like new content. I think is the thing that's exciting me the most, um, because I think it's very easy. I think at the moment in the world of Send to become very bogged down with and very disillusioned by how the trajectory of Send appears to be going, while simultaneously having very, very few answers. And school avoidance is one of those things that pretty much most Send families have experienced at one time or another in one way or another.
Mm.
So I think it's come at a really useful time to try to explore some of the things going on with school avoidance, to try and present some solutions. And what I'm really excited about, of course, is that we've got parent-led things this week, but then we've also got professional support, which is something that we haven't done before. So I'm really excited. I cannot wait to get going.
I think as well, with the landscape being as it is, which is so uncertain and so rocky at the moment with all this media coverage, we don't know which way it's going to go. We're fed so many different things. But one of the things I think that we're really focused on this week is bringing together that learning. Like you say, we've got a bespoke week for teachers, bespoke week for parents. And it's just making sure that everybody's on the same page, learning from people who they will benefit from learning from. But also understanding that we don't need the government to make these small changes that will make a massive difference to kids. And that's what we're going to be focusing on this week. Um, so if you can see us, please do say hello. Feel free to share your stories if you're happy to. Let us know where you're watching from. I'll keep an eye on the comments. If you see me look to the side, I'm just looking at the comments. Um, we're expected it to be quite a busy one this evening, so keep your comments coming. We will keep referring back to them. Do say hello. We don't bite. We're actually really lovely people. Oh God, there's loads of people. I thought there was nobody talking then. There's loads. Morning, Sue. Sue comes on to all of our Facebook Lives, and she also comes to our hub as well. Evening, Jess T, one of our very many Jesses, because we have all the Jesses working at Sunshine. Evening, Rebecca. Evening, Emily, our lovely Emily. Evening, Sarah. Hi, Rachel in Wales, our very own Rachel. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Anna. Hi, Emily. There's another Emily. Leanne, Rachel, Nicola, Sarah, Samantha Carter, Shomai Bach. That's my friend in Wales. So I just spoke a little bit of Wales. That's as much as I could probably do, by the way. So don't get excited if you're Welsh and thinking, oh God, I wonder if she's going to speak Welsh. Probably not. Other than I can say I'm tired because I regularly say it. Lisa says I'm already rocking in a corner. Lisa, before we came on. That was us, wasn't it, Kelly? Well, it was definitely me. Oh my goodness. Evening, Leslie. Evening, Kirsty. Evening, Sophie. Evening, Belinda from Cheltenham. So far. Oh no, I think South Wales beats Cheltenham. That's on the way, isn't it? And Dawn and Manda and Laura. Hello, hello, hello. Do let us know where you're watching from. Let us know if there's anything in particular. Evening, so here. And Kaylee, God, we got the full Sunshine crew on tonight. Do let us know if there's any questions that you've got for us because We love talking about this topic because we've got lots of information to share. So please do comment, let us know where you're watching from, get your questions in. We will come back to them. Evening, Tilly. Well, there's so many people watching, right? I'd love to just sit here and I will come back. Okay, we've got some questions coming in, which is great. So we'll kick things off by giving you a little bit of a backstory here because I think it's really important that you understand who's talking to you because we're not just some randoms. So we might be randoms to you, and that's okay. So we're hugely passionate about school attendance, learning attendance, aren't we, Kel? I mean, it's something we've actually met over
Yeah.
something very personal. So, for those who don't know, my eldest child, she really struggled with school attendance. Very, very similar story to most people. All started to fall apart in year 7, year 8 became zero attendance, year 9, no attendance. And we fought through 3 tribunals and a high court case, which is why I set up Sunshine. And we ended up at the school of our preference, which was a residential 52-week school that was very trauma responsive. My child has PDA, so it needed to be at a school that really understood, and a care setting that really understood PDA. And the head of that school was Kelly Jarvis. Well, she wasn't Kelly Jarvis back then. But we ended up having a meeting of minds and realizing, well, I'm the parent, you're the head. We had this very much a mutual respect, but it was quite a lovely, in fact, you reaffirmed my faith in professionals because, as you know, I had had a dreadful time up until that point. But knowing that we've got that very personal connection over the same case, I don't want to talk about it like she's a case, but it's the same child. Um, and then the rest is history, really, because you had a baby and then came to work for us. And you've been here how many years?
Four, just over four actually now, yeah. And there's a second baby now as well, that came along sort of within Sunshine. So it does feel like it's been a very, very long time that we've worked together now. But it's really interesting, looking back on that time because it's so relevant to what we're talking about this week. The school where I was head, I'd say probably every young person who came to us had experienced some sort of school avoidance difficulty. And we had some children who had been out of school for a matter of months. Other young people had been out of school for years plus. And
Mm.
we had to do things differently. We had to be, and if you've watched any of my webinars or speaking or training, and there's quite a number of them on the Sunshine Academy platform, I always talk about being a cycle breaker. So you have to do things differently. You can't do what you've always done. And one of the things that really I find hard to cope with in education that's made me a little bit disillusioned actually with education is how it just hasn't caught up with the world. And you go into now the workplace, things like, you know, hybrid working, flexi working, uh, but our schools haven't followed suit. So we're getting young people who have the most innovative, creative, incredible minds because, they're neurodivergent. They think about things in a different way. And instead of responding to that and harnessing that power by thinking about education differently, we're just trying to put them in boxes. And as a result, what we could have had was incredible potential is just sort of squandered. And this is why I really liked our school because we did do things differently. It didn't even feel like a school. You probably remember it just had a whole different vibe. And I think one of the things I'm most passionate when I go into schools and train them, and when I speak to schools, at training events or exhibitions and things like that, it's about trying to empower them to think about doing things differently,
Yeah.
because you have to. Because if you just keep doing the same, you just get the same.
Yeah.
And keep fining people, you just get more school avoidance.
Oh God.
So yeah, so that's why I do what I do. And it's just amazing, to go back that just then, Chris, in our history
Mm.
and just reflect on
It was actually 8 years ago this week that we won our high court case. And so we came to you very, very quickly, even though it had all been sorted beforehand. We'd had all the assessments and everything. And Yeah, it's gone by in a flash in some ways. That means that Sunshine's also 8 years old next week. So it's yeah, my most stressful baby, as I always say. But I think that since that point, I know that I felt very, very alone, and I've made it my life's work now to research school avoidance, school non-attendance, understand it better, and empower others to know that number one, you're not alone, whether you're a teacher or a parent, you're not alone. I always thought that I was alone because you'd say to other parents, they'd say, "Oh, how is she?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, I can't get her in, and things are really tough." And they're like, "Oh, well, have you tried being firmer?" And that's just like the worst advice ever, particularly when you've got a child with PDA.
It's just horrendous. And I've seen things, and I know we've talked about it before. Like I've been doing school improvement work with schools, and I've seen head teachers go out into the car park and sort of say things like, if you don't get out of the car, the police are going to go and tell your mummy off. Or, we've had people use restrictive physical intervention, RPI, in order to manhandle essentially a young person into a school, which is what it should never be used
Yeah.
for. It should only be used in a sense of danger. And there's no danger about getting someone into a school. It's just awful. And yeah, your heart breaks, doesn't it?
It's just horrible. And I've got ADHD, as you know, and I've got other disabilities. One of my more prominent ones, I think, is the fact that I've got inflammatory bowel disease. So I've got Crohn's disease. And it was diagnosed, even though I've had it since I was 9, it was diagnosed formally at age 16. So through sixth form, I spent a lot of my time in a hospital bed, sort of hooked up to a drip, not being able to eat, losing weight rapidly. Um, and I looked back, I found my report the other day, and my report said, exceptional student. We wish she would just make it in more because then she would pass her exams. And then then it said, we're sorry to hear that she's in hospital. But nobody thought for a second, this is an exceptional student who wants to do well. Why don't we give her the work in the way that's going to work for her? So I remember one of my teachers, who was actually a local lecturer as well in psychology, he actually came to the hospital with some books. And that just filled me with joy because I was like, yes, I can still learn. Because, of course, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have our phones and laptops to go on back then. But it just makes me sad that in some schools, in sadly most schools, it's not progressing. So, that was many, many years ago. It was like nearly 30 years ago. So, actually, things have not progressed. But like you said, every other part of the world has. When we think of going into a shop, think about going into a shop when you were 16. It's very different to what a shop looks like now. I used to work in a shop. We used to have that check machine, and we wouldn't be able to put cards through. I remember I'm that old that people had to sign for cards, and it was all done on a little receipt thing and a carbon copy thing. You see now, you're paying with your watch. You're not even paying a person. You're paying an automated till thing, and you're paying with your watch. So, things have progressed so much, but yet our education system, for the most part, is really lagging behind, and it makes me really, really sad. But I know that we are really concerned as well about the volume of children pushed out of education. Let's just call it what it is. They're being pushed out of education. It's a growing problem. I think the statistics are 1.5 million children in England alone are persistently absent. Um, it's not a new problem, but it is growing. And I think that, school attendance is at its lowest point that it has been in years, with sort of anxiety, unmet needs, send, all very much at the heart of this. But if we're really honest, we can all remember the kids that used to need a sensory break. So they go behind the bike sheds, or they go for a cigarette, or they bunk off. It's not a new problem. It's just that now we've got better safeguarding. And so we're noticing it more because it's actually registered, which it wasn't when we were in school because we're that old. Um, and I think it's really important that we call this out for what it is, but also that our message here is not about shame. It's not about sort of blaming anybody. We're really anti-blame game because we're not going to move forward if we blame people. This is all about how we accept what's happened and then go, right, how do we move forward? And it has to be together. And that's why this week matters so much, school avoidance awareness. And, you know, you've touched upon already that we've got a complete program for teachers, and we've got a complete program for parents. And whilst the message, the undercurrent is very much the same, the actual courses are different, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm hosting a lot of the professionals side of things this week. I've got a parent webinar on Friday night, but my other content this week is very much geared towards professionals because we make a real effort at Sunshine Support to have a balanced view. We are relentless in the pursuit of greatness, and we are tenacious, and we don't give up. You know, if we will keep going, but in a really polite, respectful way. Um, and I think we do a really good job of being balanced because it is not an easy job to work in a school these days. If I had my time again, and I always wanted to be a teacher since I was about 6 and used to line up stuffed creatures and create a register, that was me. And I knew it was what I wanted to do, and I loved being a teacher, every bit of it. I loved it so much. If I were a new graduate now, I'd really struggle with whether it would be a job that I want to go into for lots of different reasons. But it is incredibly demanding and can be a very, very stressful place. So, in delivering our content to professionals this week, one of the things that I really want to do is hit on that level of balance and say to teachers, it is really tough knowing the right way to approach school attendance difficulties because you know, there are loads of drivers, loads of different reasons why a young person might struggle to attend, and lots of different personalities in the professional world who may have different views, different experiences, that type of thing. And what I want to be able to give people who are watching us this week is not just theory, not just waxing lyrical about, you know, why people struggle to attend, but actually practical, useful resources, tips, different ways of thinking, like ways that you know teachers on the ground might, you know, skillfully challenge their senior leadership, because with things like attendance it really is a top down thing. If a whole school is on board with the concept of trying to unpick attendance difficulties, then we're in a good place. Often that might not happen, so I want teachers to go away feeling validated, feeling heard, feeling listened to, and actually with practical tips to then take back to their schools, because it's through collaboration that we're going to make a difference. If we just sat here and we're like, every school's doing everything wrong, then we're not going to make any change. What we need to do is present things in an accessible way to make schools think differently, change hearts and minds, you know? And that's what I'm aiming to do this week.
Absolutely. And one of the things we've been working on, I think it's really important, everybody knows this, collectively as a big team, and our team spans a lot of educators. We've got a lot of specialist educators, very senior educators, who, by the way, have become dismayed by the education system and so are making a bigger impact from the outside in. We have a legal team. We have social care experts. We've got it all here at Sunshine. And one of the things we've been working on over the last 6 months is this school non-assessment tool. Now, so many parents, so many teachers say to us, they're not attending. You know, this child isn't attending. We can't unpick why. This tool will get to the root of what is going on. But you're going to need the webinars to understand how you unpick it. Because if it was as easy as saying to a child, why aren't you going? And they go, oh, because, then we wouldn't be in this situation. So this tool is very much an assessment tool that needs to be used collaboratively between home and school, but also with the use of all the webinars that we've got as well. So you can understand, well, how do we get this information out of a child? How do we test the waters? How do we know whether the child is going to be okay in this provision or whether they need a new one? And it's all about dropping the ego and just working with what the child is presenting or giving us. And this tool is available now to download, very, very excited, on the Sunshine Academy. Now, if anybody is thinking, what the hell is this? And I really want to sign up, if you head to schoolavoidance.co.uk, nice and easy, you can just sign up via the website. We'll put the link in the comments anyway. And for some viewers, I don't know whether you can see this on YouTube, but there might be a QR code. We can see a QR code on our screen. By all means, scan the QR code, and that takes you straight there to sign up as well. So before we come to your questions, I can see some brilliant ones about EOTIS and all sorts. So we're going to come to you in a second. Going to be talking to you, our PDA. This is all our bag here, Kelly. This is all our bag. So before we come to your questions, please do keep posting them. We are going to come to them. We're going to do a quick rundown of everything that we've got going on. Kelly, do you have a list actually of the ones for the Send Training Institute, the teacher one?
I can get a list.
Well, I'll carry on. I'll do the Sunshine Support one. So
Sure.
everybody understands, we've got Sunshine Support, which is offering the parent and carer and family sort of advice. And then we have a separate division for schools, and that's called the Send Training Institute. Again, if you go to sendtraininginstitute.co.uk, if you're a teacher, you can have a look there to see what we've got on offer there. But it's a very different offer to the parent offer, which is great because it's very bespoke. So it's for teachers by teachers. So I will talk you through all the parent and carer type of offerings for this week. So tonight you've got us doing the Facebook Live and the YouTube Live, which is great. Then tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we've got an overview of school avoidance and why won't they go? So why won't they go to school? That's me. I'm going to be presenting that with my fabulous colleague, Beth. Beth is absolutely brilliant. I cannot wait to present a webinar with her. And then on Tuesday, so tomorrow evening, we've got the Big Leap. So this is all about transitions, and it's going to be our lovely Kaylee that's presenting this. Kaylee is really hot on transitions, and you've probably seen her on live stream with me. She's really, really easy to listen to, super personable. So she's going to be doing that tomorrow night. Then Wednesday at 10 o'clock. So everything's going to be at 10 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock at night. By the way, everything is recorded. Everything will be available within one working day to watch at your leisure for as long as you need. So Wednesday morning, we've got school refusal, and the law. So we've got our wonderful Jess, our legal manager. She's going to be looking at the law and what your rights are. And also looking at what your children are entitled to. This is going to be vital for those who have got children out of school. And then Wednesday evening, we've got a webinar on when school hurts, where we're going to be focusing on trauma. That's me, because trauma is like my middle name. I love talking about trauma, and I've really, really loved putting this one together for you. So tons of new resources in this one that you can download as well. And then Thursday morning, we've got from overwhelm to empowerment, understanding mental health strategies that actually work. That's going to be really vital because we know that mental health has got a massive part to play in all of this. And then Thursday evening, we've got a webinar on making your voice heard. So understanding how effective communication can really help when you can communicate effectively with school. Because as I always say, you can have a great understanding of your child's rights. You can have a great understanding of their presentation, but if you can't communicate it, you're not going to be able to get what they need. So this is all about that communication with school. Friday morning, then we've got a really special cuppa and chat. So this is where we just pause and we all come together online and we can just have a chat. It's really, really lovely. It's really good to support and connect with, because we know the connection is incredibly important, particularly when we're struggling. And then Friday night, we've got Kelly doing small steps, big wins. So rebuilding school and learning confidence. So again, it's that re-engaging in learning. So Kelly, do you want to go through what's on offer for teachers?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are kicking off tomorrow morning with the teacher version of legal duties and school refusals. So as you can probably imagine, it's a different spin than legal duties and understanding for parents, because actually what we want to do is help schools realise that some of the policy that they may have been given by things like local authorities and stuff may not automatically align with what the law actually says. And you'd be surprised how many people don't actually know that. Tuesday night, so tomorrow night, it's me. We're having a webinar for teachers called Not Just Another Day Off. So how I was saying earlier about changing hearts and minds, we want to reframe the thinking about drivers behind attendance difficulties and help teachers see that actually this isn't just sort of kids just bunking off, playing truant, running around, having a great time, playing on the Xbox all day. It's not about that. We've got to change our thinking around it. On Wednesday, 10 in the morning, we have school refusal and attendance difficulties hosted by a beautiful Jess T, which is again, more of a professional led spin on those issues. Wednesday night, we have managing vulnerable transitions. So a vulnerable transition, as you can probably imagine, is where you might be at a crossroads within your educational journey in your current setting, and you might want to know a little bit more about the sort of procedural bit behind what happens to your pupils. So if you're a teacher and you've got an annual review coming up or a change of key stage for one of your pupils that you're quite worried about, this will help you with that, essentially. On Thursday morning, we have the impact of trauma on attendance. So this is me again, and this is all about trying to upskill educators to understand how trauma presents and impacts our learners. So as we know, trauma doesn't helpfully package itself into a one-size-fits-all presentation, and what might look like behaviours that challenge may actually be rooted in trauma. So we'll be exploring that again, hopefully to change some hearts and minds. We've got a staff room session on Thursday night, which is like almost like a cuppa and chat for teachers, like a drop-in where people can ask questions, share their ideas, let us know how the week's going, that type of thing. And that's a really useful thing because we find one of the biggest issues that our teachers have who come and join us on the SEND Training Institute is a lack of professional dialogue. You're in your school bubble, you don't get to talk to many people. Training is often inaccessibly expensive, and you just get told you just got to carry on with what you're doing where you are. So we're hoping to link people up together, get you all talking, expand in that way, in a really sort of affordable way. Then Friday morning, we've got a webinar called Connection Before Correction. And this really underlines the importance of relationships in schools and being able to, I guess, have the sort of brain space and knowledge to make those connections and identify where a young person may look fine but not be fine because you've got that level of connection, and how important that is before you then try to come up with solutions. All too often we see a backwards approach to school attendance difficulties. We see schools that start with, oh, you don't attend. Okay, so we're going to do an attendance plan, and we're going to say, right, week 1, you're going to be on 15% attendance. Week 2, you're going to be on 30% attendance. And we come along, we're like, no, we're starting at the wrong place. These numbers are the last thing we've got to think about, because they're what happens on their own when you get the rest of it right. It's a byproduct of met needs. So getting that connection right, then we see the outcome. That's what that webinar for teachers is all about. And then on Friday night, we have supporting mental health to stabilise attendance. So we know that in our schools at the moment, mental health is in absolute crisis. The system is very, very saturated, overstretched, with no clear sort of pathways to address mental health, and a lot of under-resourcing. So we're going to look at practical tips of what you can do in your settings to support our young people who may struggle with their mental health. And that's our Professionals Week.
It's great, isn't it? Like, I'm so proud. I'm really proud that we're able to do this and to take this from, 8 years ago, where I was just landed in your arms like a mess. I was crying all the time. Every time you saw me, you'd have to pass me tissues. Genuinely, by the way, this is what Kelly had to do, because I would just cry at everything. I was full up to here of trauma, and just so, I don't know, disenchanted. I was just, in a mess. I was such a mess. I was so different to what I am now. And to think, we've taken that experience, brought up both our points of view and both of our experiences together, and we said, actually, we can make a difference here. And we've done a lot of studying over the last 8 years. It's not just been based on that experience. And you took my daughter's attendance from 0% to 100% very quickly with very little pressure. In fact, I don't think there was any pressure. There was just genuine desire to be there. And that's what we want to change. Now, to let everybody know, we don't charge a ticket fee for each single one. We've just said for the whole week is £10.99 for parents, and for teachers is £19.99. Now, for that, you get access to our entire Sunshine Academy. So whether that's the teacher platform or the parent platform, you have entire access. If you want to continue being a member, just stay signed up. If you don't want to continue being a member, just go into your account and click on subscribe, and it cancels your subscription. You keep your subscription for the month though. So there's hundreds and hundreds of courses, quizzes, uncut blogs and podcasts. Sorry, uncut podcasts. We've got never seen before courses that we've never put out there, never been a webinar. They're proper in-depth courses. What else? We've got tons on there, haven't we? We've
Yeah, we've
got
got home learning material and things. So if you've got, children who can't attend at the moment, we've got heaps of things on there that will support you with giving them interesting things to do. And the good thing is because we have quite a neurodiverse team of neurodivergent individuals, we've all been quite mindful about communication differences and neurodivergence in the creation of this content. So we're making the content ourselves. So hopefully you'll find that really interesting. We've got things like guided meditation, we've got stories, and just the courses alone, I just think are amazing because, whilst our consultancy team just really loves the work we do. We love being your professional cheerleader, your hand holder through the storms. We love it. Equally, we really love empowering and upskilling people. And we found that sometimes a parent just investing some time, if they can snatch it between everything else going on, into doing our EHC course, for example. In fact, we've got an EHC day in person
yeah,
coming up really soon on the 7th of October
yeah,
in Derby, a whole day with my consultancy team, helping you with your evidence and everything. You get lunch. It'll just be a beautiful day. These things are amazing for parents because you just start in the world of sound and just think, where do I even begin?
yeah.
Those little bits of it, time invested in doing some of those courses can really be life changing. And it's
Oh,
99 a month. It's
I
amazing.
know. Well, also as well, if you ever have any questions, we've got a community in this. You post your questions and it goes straight through to the advocacy and consultancy team. And we also have once a month, we have an Ask the Expert advice clinic. We had one last week and it was absolutely delightful. Absolutely loved it. Um, so saying hello to everybody and just coming to questions then. Terry on YouTube says hello. Hello on YouTube. Light Film says, love the glasses. Right, okay, let's just call it out, okay? So
Ah,
my husband said before I came on, I look like Timmy Mallet. So I am wearing these glasses just for him. Uh, I'm
very,
resilient.
a very, very glamorous Timmy Mallet, I will say.
Right.
Like,
Whack a day. Anyway, before I get done for some sort of trademark or something. Okay, so
yeah.
Bonnie asks, my daughter has been emotionally based school avoidance. So again, EBSA, emotionally based school avoidance, is just one type of many types of school avoidance or school non-attendance. A lot of people think it's the only reason, but it is that there's many reasons for school avoidance. So my daughter has been EBSA since last year. School trauma, anxiety, sensory overload in many areas, masked her way through school and completely burnt out. Totally understand this. Poor hygiene every day, self-care needs is a battle. Same clothes for 8 months. We're on a reduced timetable. Was going well until after the holidays, and now we're back in EBSA. PSP in place, moving into an IDP. Okay, so this is Wales. Really struggling. Dismissed from CAMS, of course. Even support groups are a struggle. Autistic, ADHD, PDA profile sounds very, very familiar, this one, based in South Wales. So, what you're describing there is a very traumatized child, Bonnie. And so there's not going to be an awful lot that she's going to be able to achieve until she's come out of that trauma state. And how long is a piece of string in terms of how we recover from trauma? But I can say that my webinar is going to go into a lot of detail this week. So if you can sign up for that, well, sign up for all of it, but you can access that one. I think that that is going to go into, because that's going to be 2 hours of me being able to talk to you about this. And you're not going to be alone in that webinar because I've got a feeling that all the parents are going to be the same. So I would recommend coming along to that one. When am I doing that, Kelly? Do you remember? Was it Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday.
Is it the trauma one?
Yes, Wednesday night, 8 o'clock.
Yeah. I just have to interrupt because I've just seen the most incredible comment on the live stream from one of my clients. Soraya has just written, "We got everything in Eotis. Go us, speak Thursday." I've got a meeting with my client Soraya on Thursday. Did we actually? Sorry, I'm actually really emotional.
Oh,
Like, oh, you have the battle with Soraya's beautiful boy. Just I can't even. Um, but EOTIS, as you know, is one of my specialist areas. I do a lot of tribunals to get EOTIS for children who thrive on education, love learning, are amazing minds, but they just can't access it in the school environment in the right way. So I do a lot of that. That's probably my biggest specialist area, that and getting children into independent schools on their EHCP. Um,
that's
oh,
amazing.
Rise put we actually did. Sorry to interrupt with breaking news. Never be sorry. That's
No, that is the breaking news we need. And also, it gives hope to everybody else watching that it's possible. Okay.
exactly. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I just needed that
No,
moment. I think I
don't say sorry.
clicked that comment. I'm just like, yes.
I I think though, it brings us on to an important point, Kelly, that you don't need to be in a school building in order to learn. Learning doesn't just happen under that building. Learning can happen in a variety of settings. Um, Okay, Jen says, my child was getting detentions for not completing work. He has ADHD, autism, PDA. Also detentions for not doing detentions. Oh, bless him. He's now off role and home educated. Why is that okay? Like somebody else spoke to me. I can't think who it was now, just recently, and said their child struggled with a sensory problem and so therefore wore something different into school. Very much in the color scheme, but maybe like joggers instead of proper trousers, right? Like formal trousers. And so they were given a detention. And so the child was like, yeah, I'm not going. Like, I'm struggling with the uniform as it is. I'm struggling with sensory. Now I'm in a detention. And so the parent pulled them out for a week and said, right, let's just recover. But when they went back in, they're like, the detention still stands. So you're now in isolation because he didn't attend the detention. And it's like, if we sat that teacher down and just asked them to repeat what they'd actually ordered from the child, I wonder if they would feel a bit silly, like relaying what that plan is. And no wonder children are being off-rolled. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's no surprise. Um, I-
And someone's just written that EOTIS is no longer on offer in their local authority. Well,
it is.
it is. I mean, that's not to belittle the message you've
No.
been given, because if the local authority are blanketly refusing something like that, it's not lawful because it isn't, looking at the needs of your child. And if you are within the sphere of EHCP, your right of recourse is the tribunal. And there's just all of this practice, isn't there, Chris, that we're calling out, and it's just not okay. It's not right. It's no. It's just not okay. And that example you gave there of just detention on detention on detention on detention. If you are a young person who, for example, can't cope with a sensory environment. Often our young people who can't cope in a sensory environment don't know that it's a sensory problem. And I talk a lot about this in my training about the invisible drill. If anyone's heard me chat about that before, I'll be talking about that this week actually. That they don't know that something is there that is affecting them, can't verbalize it. How is just more detentions on top of that going to help them understand and verbalize what the matter is? It's just not. It's just going to put further barriers and walls up when we need to break them down and
Mhm.
increase the opportunity for connection and understanding. It's a really hard one because the teacher brain in me as well is, and we'll be completely honest, there are some children who are sometimes a bit naughty and might play the system. That's because children are human beings.
And they're clever.
And they're clever. What are we doing about unpicking why?
Yes.
Are they bored? Are they understimulated? Are they overstimulated? That's on us as adults. We can't just label somebody as naughty because we won't do anything.
No, no. And all the detentions are doing is letting the child know to feel shame and that they're not included and they're not welcome. and that their behavior is wrong and different. And actually, that's the opposite of inclusion. So we need to remember that. Um, Becky says, my daughter has started high school last week. She did one half day and then she was off the rest of the week. She's poorly with a cold, but I just know it's going to be another hard week trying to get her in. And also, Becky, I'm really, really sorry to hear this. But also, if you've got a child who is experiencing overwhelm, their immunity will drop. So they will pick up illness. And actually, that comes with trauma as well. So again, there's going to be a lot of stuff that you're going to benefit from this week. Stephanie says, we need help. 14-year-old has been struggling since year 7. Year 8 was bad. Year 9 was really bad. And year 10 is just not happening. She's autistic and has major sensory issues into the environment. She didn't have an education at all in year 9. She's under mental health services due to low mood and has had 3 hospital visits due to self-harm and 1 due to crisis, but they still won't mark her as authorised absence. Applied for an EHCP start of year 9, wasn't approved. They cancelled the following meeting and didn't reply to emails. I've applied again now. She hasn't been back in year 10. I've been trying all services for help until school authorities' absences. Nobody will help. I'm literally, well, you're in the right place. Don't lose your mind yet, Stephanie, because you're with us now and you're in our little sunshine family, and we're going to give you a virtual hug because you're in the right place. There's lots to unpick there, obvious trauma, but also all the legalities. This is where I think you're going to really benefit from this week because we'll talk you through it all. By the end of the week, you'll go from being confused to confident very, very quickly. And feeling really empowered. But there's a lot. I mean, our legal team are really going to help this week with Stephanie's queries, aren't they? Um, and also the mental health stuff that we do and the transit. There's loads. This week was designed for you, Stephanie. Don't lose your mind. You're with us now. Chloe says, when I got a dojo today, so dojo is the messaging service, isn't it? When I got a dojo message today saying reading at home has to start this week and they have to read 4 to 5 times a week at home to be entered into the prize draw. I felt crushed knowing he won't ever do this. He can't read and he's never going to be in the prize draw, and his self-esteem will be crushed more and more every day.
Oh, don't even get me started about things like prize draws. Now, the thing is with reading is a really big elephant in the room for a lot of people. So not just our neurodivergent children who may struggle, but also parents who may have struggled themselves. And it's a big ask to do that. And what schools need to be doing, because reading is important,
Yeah.
we need to think about accessibility and equality of communication on that. So what reading at home to get in the prize draw might look like for one youngster, that needs to be reframed and reoffered to a different youngster. You know, even if it's finding them picture-based comic books about their favorite interest, experiencing sitting down with a parent and flicking through it with no demand and no expectation whatsoever, that to that young person can be reading. And it winds me up about these prize draws. And another one is prize draws or some magical trip to, I don't know, Lapland to see Santa or something amazing for everyone who gets 100% attendance.
Oh,
Described yourself as having to go to the hospital. We've got young people on my caseload who have a regular CAMHS appointment. That CAMHS appointment is absolutely necessary to keep them well enough to attend the rest of the time. Yet, because they are not attending, the school mark it as authorised, but they don't get in the magic number that gets them to this going to the trip. It is disgusting. It makes me mad because if they didn't go to CAMHS, if they were really focused on the trip and the outcome, then what attendance they do manage to do will just crumble. Why on earth aren't we celebrating that as a thing? You are looking after yourself. You are going to the CAMHS appointment. Consequently, you're doing really, really well. Yes, you can be included in this way. It really makes me mad. And it's so important to reward our youngsters for working hard, but we have to do it in a way that is a quality of reward. You know, it's that analogy, isn't it, of like if you want children to see out of a window, if you just give all the children the same height box, some of them are still not going to be able to see out the window. That it. Ooh. Anyway, I could talk for ages about that, you know.
well, You know that we're working with a school at the moment, and they've got a very, very high rate of authorised absences. And so I wanted to unpick it because they're widely regarded as a bit of a trailblazer, but also they're kind of ruffling a lot of feathers because of the way that they're working. And I said, what is an authorised absence? And the head said to me, Chrissa, there is a lot that we do with this school, but there's a lot that we can't do. And I will not punish the children if they seek that elsewhere, whether that's mental health, well, and we will support it, or whether it's that they have been chosen to play football in a tournament in China. Why on earth would I say that's an unauthorized absence? We're going to celebrate it. We're going to make them feel included and part of the community. And this teacher, I mean, this is a massive mainstream school, massive, 2,000 kids. And what they've done is they've stripped away tutor time and put in place coaching time. So instead of having tutor time with 30 in a class, they have coaching time with 10 in a class. And even the receptionists are trained to be coaches. So they have a check-in, a check-up, and check-out every week. And if the child or the children are struggling to talk, rather than force them, they'll go to them separately and say, you all right, mate? I noticed you weren't talking much today. It's to make sure that every child is seen. And it's very much developing that community. And strangely enough, their absences, their attendance, they've won awards for their attendance. They do not give out fines. They do not give out those traffic light systems. They do not talk about, in fact, you know what the policy is for attendance? Children will attend when they can. If they can't, let us know and we'll support you. That is their policy.
Well, there's a cycle breaker for you then. That's
Yeah,
exactly it. It's doing things differently. And the thing
it can be
is
done.
that if one school can do this and they can do it successfully within the law, why can't others follow suit?
Absolutely.
Because they're not falling foul of Ofsted. They're not falling foul
No.
of the blimmin' attendance police. They are thriving.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've spoken before about Ofsted and how, in fact, I know you're going to be talking a lot next week about Ofsted with the teacher-based courses, but Ofsted actually really love it when you can justify. It's all about justification, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
that's exactly it. You essentially, all you're being judged on an Ofsted inspection is how well you know your school. So you present Ofsted with your self-evaluation, your hypothesis of your school. They essentially test that. And, if you know you have pockets of attendance which on paper look a concern, then what you have to do is provide high quality rationale, reasoning, planning, and support to show Ofsted what you're doing about that. And
mm,
what you just described in that school is just incredible because that's what they're doing. They're saying we know our learners best out of everyone. Our parents know their kids best out of everyone. The best way to get the best out of everyone is to work together, not apart.
absolutely. And do you know what? They're really respectful of parents as well. Lisa says exactly, my two are getting top marks considering they're not in school as we're teaching at home. However, there's no help from school at all. All they do is threaten fines. It's ridiculous. Um, okay, so Anna says, my daughter's attendance started dropping in year 6. She's not returned to school since the summer break. By the way, Anna, it's the most common time for attendance to start to fail. And we'll go through that in some of the webinars this week. She's not returned to school since the summer. We're already at breaking point. She's so traumatized from the school environment. The message seems to be she just needs to face her fear. That's not going to work. So don't fall victim to that. She tried a session last week and the staff member wouldn't open the gate for her to leave as the fear. What? Now she doesn't trust me. And this, okay, I'm really sorry you're going through this. But this is the bit that I really, really hate. And my webinar goes into a lot of detail on this, is just how much it fractures the trust. I mean, I did it. I'm not sitting here saying I've done this perfectly, right? I have not done it perfectly. I've fallen victim to the system. And I remember taking my daughter in her pajamas, dragging her out to the car, squeezing her in through the door, prizing her off me, doing all the stuff I say not to do now. Um, so many of us have done that. And I think it's because we thought that that was the right thing to do. But what it does is it fractures that relationship and it's really hard to recover from. but we're going to be talking about that as well and recovering from these relationship fractures. Sue says, we're dreading SATs. My little one is working 4 to 5 years behind peers, let alone everything else. Now, SATs you can actually opt out of, can't you?
Yeah, well, yes, the head teacher can make the final call as to whether to enter your child
Mm.
into a SATs exam. Thus, therein lies your problem if you don't have that collaborative approach. In my school, we used to look at it year on year. We used to look at the whole cohort. We did all sorts of things, like we had SATs that weren't SATs and practice and sort of kids who wanted to do them with everyone else, but them not be real, so that the pressure wasn't there. Um, so your head teacher can opt you out. And if that's something that you are thinking might be the right way forward, we have found that getting some consultancy support from one of our team can be really invaluable in that discussion, because there can be some single-mindedness about
Mm.
we all do SATs and we all do them this way. And in many ways, SATs can be useful, because they give a good benchmark of a young person's sort of where they sit. But if you know your child is significantly behind and their well-being will be compromised by doing the SATs, there's lots of advice that my team could give you about how to handle that. It's a bit of a delicate one. We've been there a lot with that one.
Yeah. Sarah says it can feel a very isolating experience. Thankfully, the SEND community is right there with us. We just have to reach out and find the right community. Absolutely. And we talk a lot about finding your tribe. This is why we've put the cuppa and chat sessions in, because I think it's really important that I always say we're not in the same boat. We're in the same storm, but we recognize one another's boats and we go, nod to you. I get it. I understand how difficult this is to navigate. And it's something we're really passionate here, which is why we do the in-person cuppa and chats and the online cuppa and chats. But this week we've got an online one for everybody. We'll do a couple more before we go then. Um, Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, legal duties. Okay, so very big question. What about legal duties of local authorities? They don't get held to account. Now, if there's an EHCP in place, of course, they have to. We are going to be covering that in a great deal of detail because we don't have enough time to be able to cover it in as much detail as it would need tonight. But we will be talking about policy versus law and how you advocate for your child's rights.
There's quite a lot of
Um,
good existing content on the Academy as well. So if
yeah.
you're watching along this week, do delve into that past content. We've got some Facebook Lives on there about this topic. I've done a webinar all about appeals and tribunals, so right of reply if the local authority make decisions that you don't agree with around, well, any part of the EHC process. Actually delve into those whilst you're here, would be my advice.
And while you're on the Sunshine Academy, if you click on courses, you can actually just type in what you're looking for. So if it's annual reviews, type annual reviews in. If you're looking for legal rights, type legal in. Whatever you need, there are hundreds and hundreds of courses. We've been working at this for years. Um, this is a tricky one. Have you supported any families from Guernsey? We're a separate jurisdiction to the UK without some of the relevance of UK laws, EHCPs, etc.
Do you know, I think we have had we've given some support before, I think, to Guernsey, or at least one of the Channel Islands. I'd need to delve back into the archives to find out, but it is a bit of a strange anomaly of a place.
Oh,
Um, what I will do is I'll get onto our legal team and find out what their view is, and we'll see if we can cover
yes.
that during this week. Pop along to our cuppa and chat session, would be my advice, and share your story a bit if you feel comfortable. And hopefully by that point, we might have been able to dig a bit deeper on the Channel Islands vibes.
Well, the thing is, we're such a big team now, it's difficult for us to keep tracks on every single case that comes in and sort of, gets completed and supported. So do message us. Just send us a message, send the page a message, or go on our website. It's sunshine-support.org. I don't know why I'm writing it. And you could just send us an inquiry there. Kirsty says, what's the best thing to do when you can't get your child into school? Oh, Kirsty, we've got a week of webinars to help you here. She says she struggled for over a year, changed school, and it's just started again. There's a lot that we can do with this. But I think that even if we were to sit here for an hour, we wouldn't even scratch the surface on this question, which is why we need a full week of it. So please do sign up. It's for those who are watching. I know there's quite a lot of comments about how do we sign up. Just go to schoolavoidance.co.uk and you can sign up there. It's very, very easy. It's very obvious in
I
terms
think
of how you sign up.
I think on that last one, without going on about it for about an hour, as we probably both could, I think I would give one piece of advice, and that is trust yourself.
Yes.
Back yourself, trust yourself. Because if you know that it's not right, you've literally grown this human, or you've adopted this human, grown this human. This is your child. There's no one in the world who knows better than you. Trust yourself. And that's how you've
Absolutely.
got to lead with everything.
Do you know what I keep singing? You know that I hear a little, my little ADHD, I hear a little quote and then I start singing. I keep singing in my head, it's not right and it's not okay. So I'm just gonna leave that with everybody.
Yeah.
We've had a lovely comment as well because there are so many comments that I can't get through them all. But it says, Kelly, not relevant to tonight. But I just wanted to say a huge thank you for attending the meeting with our local MP alongside Grace on Friday. Both of your support for our beautiful boy means the world to us.
Oh, how lovely. Though I can't take credit for that. Grace has been supporting this lovely, lovely family and did a beautiful piece of work in response to, I think it was the EHCP. And it ended up in the hands of the MP. And then the MP said, wow, I need to meet you. So Grace and I met the MP, and he was incredibly receptive, really empathetic, said lots of very good things, is going to try and get us an audience with the new Send Minister. So
Fantastic.
it's really exciting. So it was an absolute pleasure to do that for you and your family. I want to do that more. Long
Yeah.
may that continue. The
Well,
more noise we can make, the more audiences we can
absolutely.
stand in front of. And I think what makes us unique, Chrissa, because there are a lot of people out there at the moment talking about Send and having a view about Send. I think what makes us unique is not only do we have the professional backing, so within our consultancy team, we've all reached a particular level of management in our careers and experience. Many of us are Send families as well. But I think we do bring a sense of really sensible balance. We are not here to blame, to wag a finger, to, spout off about how everyone's evil. Actually, everyone's trying to do a job. And I don't think any professional really goes to school thinking or work thinking, I'm going to make a young person's life an absolute misery. You'd hope not. And I think we really do come at it with balance and
Yeah.
respect.
Yeah.
And you can be relentless and tenacious while still being respectful,
Mhm.
because everything we do is grounded in knowledge, law, and that is real power. Because you don't need to shout when you just have a fact in your arsenal. And I'm proud of
Absolutely.
that.
No, I love it. I love it because I think as parents we can fall apart. As you know, that's my profile. I'm incredibly strong-minded. I know I can advocate for anyone else. I know the law. I do this job. Can I do it for mine? I can't even send an email, as Kelly knows, because she has to do all my advocacy for me. Um, because I can't do it. I fall apart. It's too triggering. It's too emotional. Something I want to add as well, because I hope that it gives hope, is that we have just found out today, it's just been confirmed that our team has been chosen to coach and train up MPs in send law and education law so that they can better support their constituents. So whilst we're not a political organisation at all, we are all about empowerment and how do we get this information to the masses? How do we get MPs to be better sort of at looking after their constituents when it comes to these problems? So we feel truly honoured that we've been chosen and they're coming to our beautiful headquarters here in Derby. It's very exciting. And so we've got a lovely task force that are going to come at this from education, from law, from the parental perspective, and make sure that they feel really empowered to go out there and do a good job for our community. So I just had to add that in. And Terry says, your passion, Kelly, is so infectious.
Oh, is that my Terry? I think it is my Terry. Hi, my Terry. I say my Terry. We've got a real meeting of minds, me and Terry.
I love
Um,
it when we find people like that.
yeah, I just love her. She's an incredible, like force of nature, send mum. Like I would not mess. I'm like, there's Terry's consultant, and I'm just like, you don't need a cheerleader. You are like smashing it.
Love
Yeah,
that.
just yeah, so great.
I love that. There are so many more questions. I can absolutely promise you that your questions are going to be answered this week. Um, our team are going to try and get through them all, and what we will try and do as well is address them on our own social media.
Yeah.
But this week is going to be very busy. So if you want to get the answers from us, join up, sign up now, schoolavoidance.co.uk. We have got all these fabulous webinars, resources, the assessment tool that we've launched. And of course, you can chat to us in our community on the Sunshine Academy, whether you're there as a teacher or whether you're there as a parent. And it is two separate platforms. So it's very private as well, which is great because I know that privacy is key, really. Whilst we're coming to work together, we need to be in a safe space where we can be honest.
Yeah, and
Um,
someone's just popped in the chat. On that website, schoolavoidance.co.uk website, they could only find the professionals bit. It's on the little bar at the top. So it says Home Parents Professionals Resources blog. Just click on Parents if that's the bit you're after, and it should show you everything you need to know then.
Absolutely. And if all else fails and you're struggling to navigate any of it, send us a message. We're here. Our team, sadly for us, but brilliant for you guys, we're going to be working round the clock this week. I said actually to my friends today that I woke up every hour on the hour thinking about. I was like talking, but nobody was listening, going, sign up for School Avoidance Awareness Week. And nobody was listening. And you know, when you have those really infuriating dreams where you're just like, I'm like, I really need to stop working so many hours. Um, but oh, Claire's there. What a busy week. And she's got an annual review.
Oh,
It's
bye,
that time
Claire.
of year.
Hi, Claire.
You're
We've
Claire.
got what will be a very tasty annual review this week.
I've got
Oh,
mine coming up. It's that time of year, isn't it? We've got a webinar coming up actually on annual reviews, but we'll share that more with you this week. Um, please do sign up, guys, and be immersed in all of this knowledge that we've got to share with you because it's there in abundance. There's so much of it. And we really want you to have this information because whilst we offer our wonderful consultancy service, it's not achievable for everybody and not everybody wants it. You want to have that knowledge for yourself and go out there and fight the great fight from a point of, like Kelly said, the knowledge and the understanding that you know what you're going to be advocating for. So this is where it all happens. This is where the magic happens. It's my favorite week of the year. I know that I'll be exhausted by the end. We all need we should set up a GoFundMe and we should all go to the Seychelles next week. What do you reckon?
oh my gosh, I haven't got time to go to the Seychelles.
The closest I'll get is this yellow lamp. That's like the closest I'll get to the sun right now. So please do sign up. By all means, keep your questions coming, but bear with us as we try and get through them all within the team. It's going to be quicker for you to sign up. And somebody's just said, hello, I've just stumbled across this live. We're just about to end it, Lisa. But send us a message and we'll absolutely help you. One of the things we're really passionate about is that you don't suffer in silence, guys. You know, whoever you are watching, parent, teacher, social worker, medical worker, whatever, whoever, send us a message, get in touch. You can DM us through Instagram, Facebook. You can send us messages through our website. There's loads of inquiry options on there. If you need somebody one-to-one to hold your hand, you can sign up there. We are in our busiest part of the year, so I would make that sooner rather than later, because I think it probably is very possible by the end of the month we'll be operating a waiting list. So make sure you get your inquiries in. But Kelly, we could talk forever. We're
Yeah,
going to talk forever. We've got a full week of this.
yeah. I can't wait. I'm so excited for every bit. and I know that I'll be consuming everyone else's webinars as well when I'm not doing my own, because I'm just so excited. So I know that number of my clients are watching in the chat. I can only apologise if it takes me slightly longer to reply on email this week. But you know, if you want me, here I am on screen.
Yes.
So yeah, it's going to be great. And Krista, you know, it's quite amazing that you've created this from such a dark place.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't think you get thanked enough for that. I think what
Oh,
you've become to so many people is really, really special. So thank
thank
you.
you. No, thank you. I couldn't have done it without you. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you. We're like fangirling each other. I quite like this, lifting each other up. I love it. But I think that, you know, it's really important. I think that that journey, I want to share that journey so that you understand it's possible to recover, for your children to recover, but also for you as a parent, because I see you. I don't actually see you. I'm not peering in through your window. Don't panic. But I do feel your struggle. I understand what you're going through. And I understand the triggers and I understand the trauma and I understand the mental health. That's why I've immersed myself in this over the last 8 years. So I feel really honoured and privileged to be able to be sat here delivering this and pulling everybody together. And how lucky are we to have the team around? I mean, there's like about 25 of us full-time members of staff at Sunshine, all on the payroll. Um, and we're just really grateful to be surrounded by such amazing minds and beautiful souls. I mean,
Yeah,
you don't get more beautiful than a Sunshine member of staff. They're just gorgeous, all of
yeah,
them.
yeah. Completely agree. Could not
Oh, so
agree.
before I start crying, we better end this. So, you know where we are, guys? Sign up, schoolavoidance.co.uk, click on parents, click on professionals, whichever suits you. And we cannot wait to get learning with you this week.
Agree.
Okay. I will probably speak to you after this.
Yeah,
And
speak to you in about 5 minutes.
yeah. And we will get learning tomorrow.
Yeah. Thanks, Krista.
Thank you. Good night. Bye.